Hello, my YouTube friends. Sorry for the late start. Got a little bit busy today. Today, we're going to talk Disney and Disney earnings and try to understand why the stock is down 10% today. Good afternoon. My name is Adam Kahn, and this is Investing with Adam K. Hope you're all doing well. Today, Disney came out with earnings. Actually, I thought they were pretty good, yet the stock was down 10%. So, why was it down so much, even on good earnings? They beat on both the top line and bottom line, beating both the earnings and revenues. On top of that, they actually had really good cash flow. I think it was over $7 billion, which is actually getting back to where it was pre-pandemic levels. So what are we looking at and what are we missing and why was the stock down so much? One of the things that people didn't like was the guidance going forward was a little unclear. It sounded like there would be some bumpy roads ahead. On top of that, the parks weren't doing quite what people were hoping they would. But for me personally, neither of those things are major issues, especially because it's hard to predict the future. Disney Plus subscriptions were actually pretty strong, which is great. And to me, that's a super important piece to the puzzle. So does it create a good buying opportunity? I'm guessing in some ways they're feeling a little bit stretched with the economy likely slowing down. They might be stuck where they really can't raise some of the prices because, we all know going to those parks is not inexpensive. And if consumers are feeling strapped and their budgets are a little tight, a trip to Disney may be something that is slowing a bit compared to the past. But again, that's really hard to predict, and they have a great brand, and I don't really see it falling off immensely, even if it slows down with everything else. Disney's definitely one of those companies I'd like to own. So I'm going to keep an eye on it after these earnings and see how it continues to react throughout the week and the month before their next earnings. What's nice for me is now that they've prepared everybody for a bumpy road going forward, if it's bumpy, that's going to be expensive. And if they happen to do a little bit better than what they've prepared people for, there's potential for the stock to rebound and go back up. Now, I don't expect it to just have a V type of bottom where today is just the dead low and it goes straight back up, which is why I say I'm going to keep an eye on it. For me, price action and how a stock behaves is super important. My guess is, depending on your time horizon, it's probably a decent area to be getting long the company. Of course, there might be more room to the downside. Of course, it might take some time. But again, Disney's a great company and they're really well spread out in multiple channels of places where they can get revenue. They have Disney Plus, which I've already mentioned, the parks, obviously. They also do the movies that they have. ESPN, which is a great source that they were talking about spinning off, but then they were talking about a partnership. Meanwhile, I think they just see the value in it and probably are just going to keep it and possibly try to grow that business. You add to that all the Disney stores, and part of the Disney brand, I think, is Star Wars and some other things that are super strong brands that'll probably drive revenue into the future. So if your time horizon isn't next week or next month, my guess is if you give it time, you'll probably be happy to own Disney. Now, prior to the open today, Portillos actually reported their earnings, and they weren't so bad, but the stock got beat up pretty good. It's pretty thinly traded. I'm hoping that's just an overreaction considering that the earnings weren't great. They didn't beat or even meet expectations. They were a little bit below. But my hope is Portillo is a popular brand, and I'm hoping if I give it time that they're actually able to add stores and really grow as a company. Before moving to Vegas, I lived in Chicago for 10 years, and Portillo's is a good name brand. They have a decent product, and it's at a reasonable price. So I think as they expand into different areas, they're going to find that they do pretty well. I've seen enough YouTube videos where people go into Portillo's, and it looks pretty busy in the background, where they're tasting the food and giving their reviews on it. And if you don't live in Chicago, it's probably pretty hard to find a decent Italian beef or a good Chicago hot dog. And they managed to have both, along with a whole variety of things surrounding those products. And they're both pretty good for what they are. My memory is they actually run a decent operation too. The lines move pretty quickly, the food comes out pretty good. And my brother lives out in the suburbs, and if you go out there, they do drive through, and the cars are like lined up pretty far all day, every day, as long as they're open. So it's hard to imagine they won't be able to continue to push profits and grow the brand. So I'm just going to stick with it. Like I said, a little bummed at how it reacted today, but I'm hoping another 3, 4, 5 years, they've got more stores out there and they're performing pretty well. As always, though, this is not financial advice. My advice is seek out a financial advisor, do your own research. You have to make your own decisions when it comes to your investments and how you manage your money. These are just things that I'm looking at. And for full disclosure, both of those stocks are stocks I own. They're not one of my major positions, but I do have some money in both. I don't plan on selling here. Disney, there's a good chance I'll probably pick some more up if it seems to look like it's bottoming out in the way for what I look for. Um, and I guess we'll just see. If it gives me an opportunity to get longer, I probably will. Otherwise, if it just goes back up, I'll probably just maintain the position I currently have. Anyway, we'll keep today's video a little bit short. There's a ton of activity going around on. I'm at my son's swim practice. It's got me a little bit distracted. Before I forget, if you guys could do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, make some comments. Let me know what you think. Hopefully the internet is good enough here to get it uploaded and put on today and doesn't sit there and stagnate. Sometimes it takes a really long time to get the videos up. Anyway, have a great rest of your day. Hopefully I'll have time to talk to you tomorrow. Again, sorry I got started so late. Give that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, make those comments, and say hello.